The word calendar, which is calendas, is a period of time to pay taxes in the Roman Empire. And today we created a great mistake, which is that for all the world we use the same calendar designed by a guy in Europe that just wanted to pay taxes.
This calendar that we are following today, the world is following today, became an international phenomena. Otherwise, different peoples were following different calendars. The Hindu calendar has its own way. There is a lunar calendar, there is a solar calendar, and there's a luni-solar calendar, which is a combination of both. The Egyptians had their own calendar, the Romans had lunar calendar, the Macedonian civilizations had a different calendar, Native Americans had a different calendar, different ways of calculating. But when Julius Caesar started ruling Rome, at that time the Roman calendar had 355 days. So there was a 10-day gap. What to do 10 days without a number or a name? So they adopted the Egyptian calendar, which is 365 days, or 364 and 365. They also had a leap year or a leap day. That is, once in 4 years, there was an extra day. So they picked up that calendar and adopted. That has become the international thing right now, because in many ways it makes our life simple. Otherwise you have to know lots of things just to know what day it is today. Well, the first month is called January, because this month was named a god who was called Janus. Janus is a two-faced god. One face facing back, looking towards the past, another looking forward towards the future. And it also happens to be, in most parts of the northern hemisphere, this happens to be the harvest time. So this is a time when the farming community would like to relax a little bit, celebrate and plan for their future. So this month became January, named after the god Janus.
And they call it January because it was the god Janus, which is the god of time. Had two faces, one looking backwards, the other one looking forward. So he said the god of Janus, January, is the god that tells, okay, now we can start again, and we created a new year. What are we doing? It's not related to anything in the skies or anything. So we celebrate something because just a Roman said that. So that's why when we lost this connection, we also started to mix cultures and traditions. And today, for example, we have this moon day, which is Monday, Tuesday, which is actually the day of Mars, which is but it's a name from the Norse tradition. Wednesday is also a name from the Norse tradition.
Yeah, Wednesday is Woden's day, Odin's day.
Woden's day, Woden, yeah, Wodan, which is the father. So Tuesday is Thor's day, the day of Thor. Friday is the day of Freya. So it's Norse. So suddenly we mixed the Viking tradition and we created the days for each one of the gods. And we today celebrate the days, and the Romans said Saturn as Saturday. So we celebrate the Saturn, and in Sunday we celebrate the sun. So we have all the pagan of Europe all together mixed and not knowing why. And each one of those days were specifically named like that because there was a purpose of celebration in a ritual to awaken a potential of each one of those gods or stars. And the way we organized it today, it was because of the Middle East again, creating the days according to the celebration of God. So we have in every, for example, hour comes from the word Horus, and Horus is Horus, the god of the sun in Egypt. So Horus is the one that marks where the sun is. Horus is there, Horus is there, Horus is there, Horus is there. So it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So it's the same thing. So all the time is organized in a concept that is divine to tell us what to do at which moment, because the energy is suitable for you to do specifically something at that time. And that's why the ancient ones lived through rituals all the time. They did circles, trinities, they created patterns and put intentions in every day to download that information into us. Because now, one thing is the mind, which is the perception of today is the day of the moon, so we have to celebrate something related to the moon. But in the other hand is the moon physically moves our blood, moves the cycles of life in the feminine body mainly. It controls the gravity of our planet. It pulls all the water of the oceans towards one direction or the other. So this is such a powerful force that when the moon is there, it moves us completely. So if you don't set your mind, your heart, and your intention and your action according to what is happening with the moon in that moment, you are losing the potential that power has on you. So instead of using the power, you are used by the power. When we talk about calendar, it's something that we take for granted most of the times, because we don't relate it with our specific reality and how we can manifest reality. But actually time is the one that allows us to see matter. So the way in which we organize time is the way in which we can, of course, manifest matter.
So here we created 2 dimensions of time, or we recognized 2 dimensions of time. One is the cyclical time, and one is that dimension of time which is beyond that. So we said Kala and Mahakala. You can either be crushed by time, or you can be trapped in the cycle of time. Everything is well with you, but you're just bored. You don't know what this is about. You wonder how to live. So people will start doing, once survival process is taken care of and they feel trapped within the cycles of time, they will start doing more and more freaky things because they want to somehow break the boredom of this entrapment within the cycle of time. But if you learn to ride this cycle, then life will become fantastic, a very exciting ride, because it is the cycles of time which is the access to the whole universe in many ways.
So in these days, that calendar just became a way to count days, or to just say, okay, another day passed. We don't actually take the power of what it means. And actually, the word calendar, which is calendas, is a period of time to pay taxes in the Roman Empire. I don't know if you know that, but actually every time that we say calendar, we are saying, I have to pay taxes. So, yeah, Roman Empire, really? So because of that, we just organize the dates according to the moon, just to know when this guy would come and knock the door and say, give me the 10%. So everyone kind of knew that when the moon was about to get full, something was about to be taken from you. So basically we organized the calendas in that way. And we're basically the Romans that shaped the idea of our calendar in order to have an organization for an empire, which was paying taxes, organizing rituals, ceremonies and stuff. But the reason why we started actually to make something that we actually call cycles, in Atlantean language we call it the cycles of earth, the cycles of fire, the cycles of water, So when we started to organize cycles to understand what was the energy around in order to manifest something, to actually do something physical, not just to calculate moments. So our relationship with the cycles started actually when we started walking in the horizon, like around 3 million years ago, when humans left the forest in Africa and they started to walk around trying to find food after a great moment of hunger. So in that moment, a lot of humans started to get lost and had no idea where to go, where to walk to, maybe deserts. So there was only one way to actually know where you are, which was following the sun or the moon or specific stars. So they saw that some stars were fixed in the sky, so they said, every time if we follow those stars, maybe we won't get lost, even if we don't know where we are. So according to that, they understood the cycles of what time of the year these stars are positioned according to which mountain, which river, which tree. So they started to talk about the cycles of when that star moves to the top of the mountain or to the valley. So that created a cycle, a period of time in which we know where to move, where to head to, when to do something specific. And the cycles of the moon, they also show them that if you follow the moon, you can actually have a very organized time. Like you can actually organize your life. Like everything that happened on this planet was because of the moon. So they started to understand the tides of the ocean, when the water was melting in the mountains, to have it for sowing and so on. So they were following the sun, but the moon was the one telling how life would be. And so we started to understand that if we follow the moon, we know exactly how life should be on Earth. If we follow the sun, we know exactly how to be guided in our purpose. Where are we heading to is the sun. How we head to is the moon. And the position of the stars would tell us what to do in every place or every moment. So we started to write the cycles, but there's a problem that there's no beginning, no end in these cycles. So it doesn't matter in which continent you live or in which hemisphere, and even though in which latitude. So the position of the stars is completely different. The light of the sun is completely different. The moon, different position. So that meant that for every region, there was a different calendar. And today we created a great mistake, which is that for all the world, we use the same calendar designed by a guy in Europe that just wanted to pay taxes. And that made that the entire world lost the connection with their own potential of creation. Because the way in which in the equinox the light hits the earth in the North Pole or the South Pole is completely different. So you cannot do exactly the same. You cannot celebrate the same things or manifest the same things because the light is not suitable for that. So for every latitude and every parallel, we should have a different calendar. And for every region of the planet, we should have a different calendar.